want to talk about some of the guys who I think are good values and who I personally will be investing in, have invested in. How about Carson Kelly at 207? He's going to play, he's going to play pretty much every day in Arizona. Arizona's invested in him, so the opportunity's there. They have exceptional player development, and you saw that out of him last year. He's still young. I really like Carson Kelly, and at 207, I would have no problem putting him in as my starting catcher. But if I do that, a lot of these guys. So, Travis d'Arnaud at 281. Jorge Alfaro at 244. Tom Murphy at 270. How about a little bit earlier, Wilson Ramos? Wilson Ramos actually hit 288 last year, guys. That's green. So, it's interesting when you look at it from this perspective. That's not enough for you. You want more? And I'm sorry, I know I'm going on just a touch because I do want to talk about the draft value. Some of these guys who I like later on because I think that's fun too. But there's still, I went 25 deep pretty easy. And normally it's not like that catching. How about Robinson Chirinos? Back in Texas, he loved it. He had 17 homers last year. Guys, he's not even getting drafted in shallow drafts. 323. Yadi Molina's still performing. 227. Kurt Suzuki, 17 homers last year. Again, 300 plus, 329. So, in a 10-player draft, I know I always talk 12-player draft, but just for perspective, for some of you guys that don't maybe play all the time, understand it deeply like a lot of us do. So, but I know I have a couple friends on here that I want to explain. 300 plus means they're not getting drafted in shallower leagues, right? So that's extreme value. So, for instance, at 329, Kurt Suzuki had 17 homers and hit 264 last year. Roberto Perez, Andrea, you're absolutely right. Roberto Perez at 303 hit 24 home runs last year. I talked about Victor Caratini. David Ross loved Victor Caratini. Lenny's absolutely right in what he said about Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras is due a huge year. And he's absolutely right when he says that if he has a huge year, it's going to be really hard for the Cubs to justify trading him. But I think David Ross understands and knows what he has in Caratini. He is capable of being an everyday catcher. He is capable of being a 25 home run guy. He wants to try and find ways to get him in the ballgame. Therefore, again, Lenny, you want to talk about gut feelings. Look for Contreras to gain left field eligibility this year. He did that in 2016. Look for him to do that again this year. And that adds extra value when a player adds, especially to catcher position. Because then you can kind of take a different approach and stockpile a little bit, right? You could take a Wilson Contreras and you could put him in left field. And then you can build a little bit of depth. Because Contreras is one of the few catchers who has the bat that you can justify shifting out there. You don't want to do that with just an average player. But Contreras has the potential to hit 30 home runs. I'll say that again. But Contreras has the potential to hit 30 homers. He is a 3,100 candidate, obviously in a silo, right? They're not going to play the entire season, but he possesses that kind of value. Caratini's also in that grouping. I mean, he obviously needs the opportunity. That's the missing piece. Few more names that I think are very intriguing at this position. Williams Astudillo, 406. Sean Murphy, 273. Francisco Mejia, 290. Austin Roman, 446. Isaiah Kiner Falafa. I mean, again, really just to get to the point of this is really deep and you can afford to wait. Let value fall to you because eventually people are going to pivot away from the position. Let's talk about some guys real quickly who offer value and really good opportunities with a really low ADP. The first guy that comes to my mind, Arnie and I were talking yesterday, we were talking about Miguel Andujar and his value. I absolutely agree with everything that Arnie was saying. I think he becomes the everyday left fielder. I think that he has 30 to 40 homer potential. Again, in a silo. I think that people forget how good of a prospect New York saw him as just 2 years ago. I really look for a middle of the lineup type bat to emerge out of Miguel Andujar if he's given that position and let run with it. I think that, again, he's at 219. He's a tremendous value. Again, a potential middle of the order bat, one of the best offenses in baseball. Those are the type of guys that, especially now, like I said, as we're on this hard pause, we can analyze. Who are these guys that have this, people talk about, the post-hype sleepers and all that happy crap, right? I don't know about that stuff. I'm just looking for guys with high potential that are getting overlooked. Because baseball is great. You can't really do that so much in football, but baseball, there's just such a mass of players that it's inevitable. Guys are going to slip. I think Andujar is one. I think David Peralta is another one. 257 is his ADP. We're talking about a middle of the lineup guy. He's talking about they're going to look. Troy Lovello is going to hit him cleanup in that lineup. That should give him the opportunity to hit drive plenty of runs in, and honestly, he's hit 40 homers in his career. So I really like him at 257. Shogo, and this is what I'm talking about. You can wait on outfielders, right? Get your elite outfielder, get your 1-2, and then wait. I mean, we're talking about 17th, 18th round for a cleanup hitter on a playoff team who has a proven track record, right? Shogo Akiyama, I love this kid. Again, his ADP is 277. He's a proven veteran. He's in a great ballpark with a great offense. This is truly a good value in my mind. He has pretty much the center field, left field job sewn up. I love this guy. I think he can steal 20 bases, hit 20 homers, and carry about a 280, 290 average. I think there's great value there. Here's a post-high sleeper I like. Austin Riley. Really got exposed last year, right? But I love what I'm hearing. He's having a good spring. Reading articles about he really spent time in the offseason working on hitting the slider off the plate. So that tells me he has he really cares about what he does. He wants to get better. So I really like Austin Riley. Again, this time last year, he was a sweetheart's prospect. I think maybe a la Nick Castellanos, he goes out to right field and kind of settles in there, or perhaps left field, but give him a place in the outfield, kind of take that burden of third base off of him. I think that would be a good move for him. And again, at 295, this time last year, we were really talking about him as a sweetheart, right? So I think there's good value there. I think there's also very good value in Ian Happ at 295. Again, these are all end of draft guys, right? And I know these numbers are pretty volatile because Ian Happ starts off hot in the spring, and all of a sudden he goes up from 400 to now he's at 295. Well, that's still a good value. If he wins the second base job and he's hitting number 2 or number 6, then it's a good value. He's shown he can do it. It's just a matter of him actually doing it. I love Ian Happ, and I think there he's absolutely a good value. Trent Grisham's a name that I love. His ADP is 304. I like Barreto too, Malpau. And it speaks to being able to wait on that position, right? So, really, if it's about who wins that job, I like that both of those guys are being considered in the outfield as well. I think the other guys, Barreto and Mateo, can both play in the outfield as well. Seth Brown's the other guy in that equation that, it'll be interesting to see how those three play out. I don't think Mateo has options either, does he, Andy? Or I thought I heard Bowden saying that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I really like Trent Grisham. Had a really good sample size last year, but at 304, there's a lot of talk about him having 30-30 potential. He'll get an opportunity to play a lot in San Diego, and I like his skill set. Right, I didn't think so. So, Lenny talked about Jose Peraza. Again, at 379, he's free. Shed Long looks like he's going to be the second baseman in Seattle at 374. These guys are all great values, right? And value's really playing time. I mean, yeah, you have to produce. Some of these guys are going to fail. But you're getting them for nothing. No whiskey this morning, guys. This is coffee. I did go yesterday and get a pint of my favorite beer. They're still open, so I had to go and get a growler. So I am thankful that I have some birthday beers to drink later this afternoon. Couple guys I want to talk about. Well, sorry. You guys have heard me talk about Jarrett Dyson. I know you have, the people that have listened. 384. This guy had 30 steals last year. He hit 266 in KC for 7 years before he had 2 really bad years in Arizona. I think he has a really good year in Pittsburgh. I think that's a really good sign for them. But you have to watch out for Jose Oliva in AAA. Has similar skill set, and when he's ready, that might change the equation. But for this year, I really like Jarrett Dyson. Jarrett Dyson just doesn't strike me as a left field or a right field type of player in Pittsburgh. He's strictly a center fielder, and when Oliva's ready for that job, it will be his. But for now, I do like Dyson. I think 30 stolen bases is the floor for him, again, in a silo, right? So when I say 30 bases and I say in a silo, what I mean is whatever they play, you have to fraction that out. You have to prorate that. So, Harrison Bader is the other stolen base guy, 486. He's looking to maybe possibly hit the top of the lineup with Colton Wong. Really like his potential for power speed. So, again, as a freebie, and really even in deep drafts, 466 is really deep, right? So I like that a lot. I want to talk about specifically now. So you guys notice that's a lot of outfielders. Let's talk about why there's a lot of depth in the middle infield as well, right? And a lot of these guys are versatile too. That's the other part. I love Scott Kingery. At 183, he's a 30-30 potential. I think he has pretty much a 20-20 floor. Again, I think there's tremendous value there with him. Paul DeJong, ADP 192. Again, he's St. Louis's cleanup hitter. Going in the 15th, 16th round. Sign me up for that shit every day. Right? I mean, DeJong, yeah, he hasn't done what maybe some of us thought he was going to do. But shit, he had 30 homers and he scored 97 runs last year. Hitting cleanup, 78 RBI should go up. I mean, you're talking about a guy here who is being really undervalued.